This is video of the Chinese military practicing an amphibious assault against the island of Taiwan. Communist China views democratic Taiwan as a renegade province that must be reunified with the mainland. Incursions by Chinese fighter planes into Taiwan airspace have been happening almost daily since the summer, and some experts believe the two countries are closer than ever to war. And if Taiwan cannot repel a Chinese invasion, the U.S. might decide it must come to Taiwan's rescue. But if you assume the United States would win a war with China over Taiwan, you might be interested in a game they play at the Pentagon. In a war game put on by the Rand Corporation for Pentagon planners, the U.S. routinely loses, mostly because of how far many U.S. military bases are from Taiwan.
For them, it's a home game. For us, we have to sail across the Pacific.
But China expert Dean Cheng at the Heritage Foundation thinks despite all the saber-rattling by the communist leaders in Beijing, a planned invasion of Taiwan would be too risky. China still doesn't have the landing craft to ferry enough troops across the Taiwan Strait. It would have to use commercial shipping.
Any kind of invasion of Taiwan means crossing 100 miles of some of the worst water in the world by a military that hasn't fought a war since 1979 and runs the very real risk of American intervention.
The author of Bully of Asia, China expert Stephen Mosier, agrees, saying the last thing Beijing wants is a shooting war with the United States.
What it wants to do is it wants to use this gray area between war and peace to continue its cyber attacks, to continue its espionage in other countries, but it certainly would use force in the future if it thought it had achieved a position of dominance.
A war with the United States would also decimate China's export-driven economy. A 2016 RAND study said war would slash more than a third from China's gross domestic product and shrink America's by as much as 10%. Dr. Robert Farley teaches at the Patterson School of Diplomacy and the U.S. Army War College.
The damage that a war between the United States and China would cause, both in material terms, but especially in economic terms, is virtually incalculable. An actual war between the U.S. and China would be a financial apocalypse. It would be an economic apocalypse for both countries and for lots of other countries.
But even if China does not launch a planned invasion of Taiwan, war could still break out anyway. China's repeated incursions into Taiwanese airspace could trigger a shooting war that could quickly turn into a regional war for dominance of the South China Sea. Some in the Philippines believe China would seize at least part of their territory in a war with the United States. Farley says China has entered a dangerous phase, becoming more belligerent as its military has become more sophisticated.
The core of China's security policy is this realization that they basically are surrounded by enemies and potential enemies. And so we have to be assertive, and we have to be aggressive, and we have to demonstrate to all of them that we will not back down. So where we really have to watch, I think, is Taiwan.
The United States has never explicitly committed itself to the defense of Taiwan. Some in Congress believe it's time to start. But if America does come to Taiwan's rescue, hopefully the Pentagon has learned something from all those losses to China during war games. Dale Hurd, CBN News.